Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Sunday, February 16th, 2014. This is episode 1058. Enjoy! Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk computers and the internet. Cell phones, smartphones. I think smartphones. We'll eliminate the feature phones, unless you want help transitioning. Home theater, digital photography, and all that jazz. 8888, Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside of those two nations, you just use Skype. Skype out, and it'll still be free because it's a toll-free number. You can also visit our website, techguylabs.com. I'm the Tech Guy. These are my labs. You get it? techguylabs.com, and that's where, when you visit the laboratory, you'll find audio and video of previous shows, answers and questions, and all of that. Plus a link to our great chat room. Always a lot of fun to be in there. techguylabs.com. You know, last week, you were there, Heather. We had a caller who said something that kind of got me going. In fact, I have to confess, I was a little distracted by his premise, and I don't know how well I answered his question. He said, I don't want to use Google. They're spying on me. And I was a little taken aback. I mean, I understand that people are concerned about privacy. Certainly understand that. And we do know that that certainly the federal government is spying on us until we, it's okay until you do something wrong and then they got you. And then it's presumed, I hope we all understand that when you use a free service, that they're using your information, the information you give them, to somehow monetize it. Somebody, some wag once said, try to understand what the product is that they're selling online, and if they don't seem to have one, then it's you. And that makes sense. I think if you use Facebook, you understand when you're giving Facebook all that information that what they will then do is sell ads based on it. So, in fact, it's easy to find that out because all you have to do is buy an ad on Facebook. It's all automated. And they say, well, what would you like? Would you like 30 to 35-year-old women living on the western seaboard? Would you like people who are interested in horses? It's very granular. And that, of course, they get all that information from the information you give them. Is that spying on you? Well, if it is, then yeah, I guess Facebook spies on you. In fact, a lot of sites that give you free services, including Google, if that's spying on you, they spy on you. I don't feel that's quite the same thing. I think some of this comes from the idea or the mistaken impression that computers are human. And that if a system like Facebook or Google is designed to gather information about you in order to sell you in aggregate with others to advertisers, that somehow some human is reading your email. Microsoft's very much like you to believe that, by the way. The whole Scroogled campaign. They did an ad called Gmail Man, in which a human being, like a mail carrier, was delivering your Gmail, your Google Mail, and reading it and saying things like, "Oh, your Aunt Clara says hi." But that's, I think that we're biologically wired to think that's what's going on. But of course, there's no human ever reading your mail. It's scanned by a computer. In fact, and this is where kind of the Microsoft campaign bugs me a little bit. Microsoft's doing the same kind of scanning. They're not doing it for the same reason. Their ad system is not, in fact, targeted, which means you see the strangest ads at Outlook.com that have nothing to do with your interests. I get ads for barbed wire a lot. I don't know why. I'm not actually in the market for it, but what Microsoft does do is they have, and I would say almost any email service, including your own ISP's email service, they have anti-spam filtering, right? Well, how do you think they determine whether an email is spam? They read it. Now, not some human, not some clerk with a green visor and sleeve garters and a little pencil. Let me just read this mail here and see. Oh, look, there's the word Viagra. I'm going to have to call that spam. No, a computer is scanning it, and very rapidly, I might add, because there's a lot of email, and determining whether it's spam. Google does that same thing. So the difference between what Microsoft and Google are doing, they're both scanning your mail using computers, looking for keywords. Both of them will reject mail based on keywords that indicate that it's spam or certain characteristics indicate it's spam. The one difference is Google and Facebook and many other companies will then use keywords in your email to generate ads. In other words, the ads you see on your Gmail page, and by the way, they're considerably less obtrusive, at least on my Gmail page, than they are on the Microsoft page. Those ads are what we call targeted. By the way, you can turn that off. You can opt out of targeted ads. But guess what? Google still reads your email just like Microsoft because of the spam. Is that spying on you? Or is it just scanning your email looking for spam? So when somebody says, I will not use Google because they spy on me, I understand that. And certainly that's your right and privilege, and that's one of the beauties of it. It's a big difference between Google and, say, the federal government. You can opt out of Google. However, I have to say, if you're using anybody's email service and they have anti-spam filtering, they're doing the same thing. They're reading the email. So there, I guess, maybe you shouldn't be using email. Okay, let's check that one off. I guess you shouldn't use Facebook either. And I know when you use your smartphone, you read all those, informative messages when you download software on there about what that software is doing. You do read those. If you want to be scared, read them. Facebook just updated its permissions on Android. I don't think anybody read it when they did this, but among the permissions they added new permissions. And one of the nice things about Android, Apple doesn't do this, but one of the nice things about Android is Android will show you the permissions that a program is asking for, one by one, and even mark new permissions with a big new. So some of us were very surprised about 2 weeks ago when Facebook's Android app asked for new permissions, including reading and writing your text messages. Now, I guess if you're really worried about spying, that'd be a pretty scary one. And I bet you that guy who doesn't use Google doesn't use Facebook. The new Android app on Facebook says, read your text messages, download files without notification, read and write to your contacts, add or modify calendar events, and send email to guests without owner's knowledge. These are all the new ones. Read calendar events plus confidential information. And if you were to say they're spying on you, you'd actually have a pretty good case there. This goes much farther than Google does, but I got to point out, even that isn't really, in my opinion, the kind of spying you're thinking of when you say they're spying on you. They want to add some additional features. So in order to, for instance, here's one feature that Facebook wants to do. If you add a phone number to your account, they want you to be able to confirm that phone number automatically by sending a text message to that phone number, which the Facebook app automatically reads and then says, yeah, thumbs up. They want to do that without you having to go through a bunch of steps. That's what they're doing with that. They want to download files without notification so that they can preload newsfeed content. That's what they say anyway. This confidential information thing is interesting. This allows the app to show your calendar availability when you're viewing an event on Facebook. And I guess since some information is considered confidential, they want that too, so that you can say, I'm not available. I'm not sure why, but it's confidential. But I'm not available. These all seem like nice and useful features. I think it's good that they reveal these. Android forces them to. Apple does not, by the way. We could presume that they're doing the same thing on an iPhone. Apple says, well, we'll do it for you. We'll check them for you. Is that spying on you? Is that offering a good feature? I think as long as they tell you what they're doing and you judge it, Then you decide, do I want this feature? Do I want this app or not? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We do need it, and if you don't need it, the choice is not to granularly turn off these features because it breaks the app, which counts on them. It's just not to use the app. But then you have that choice. And you even have the choice not to use Google. And I guess maybe when he said, well, Google's spying on me, he meant this kind of stuff. But it implies that there's like somebody watching you, and there isn't. These apps do this stuff so that they can provide features which they presume their customers like. And if you don't like them, you shouldn't use them. I guess my point is, much of the internet is wired this way. If you really don't want... for instance, your internet service provider can see everything you're doing at all times. If you don't like that, you have two choices. You can use a VPN, at which point somebody else at some other end can see it, or don't use the internet. So I feel like, I think what happens is people go, oh, well, I'm not going to use Google because they're bad, but I'll use Facebook. Or I'm not going to use Google because they're bad, but I'll use my internet service provider's email. They're okay. When in fact, I think Google works a lot harder than most internet service providers to let you know what they are and are not doing. It doesn't matter if you set up your own server because email travels in the clear, right? And how does it travel? Over the public internet. Set up your own server. It does nothing to protect you at all. Yeah, we're going to be live for the Samsung Galaxy S5 announcement. It is when we would normally be doing iPad Today, so we're going to record iPad Today that week early at like 9 a.m. I guess it's a week from Monday, right? Google's covered by the laws of the nation that it operates in. So if you're using Google in Canada, it is in fact covered by Canadian law. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the simple statement of it. If you don't want to be monitored by Google, don't use Google. If you don't want to be monitored, don't use the internet. Okay, Dr. Mom, think about that. The key phrase in there is get their messages. How do those messages get to them? Literally the only way to safely use email is to encrypt at both ends. But to do that, you need to make an agreement with whoever you're talking to about about encryption, how all that stuff. Right. That's right. Don't use the internet then. If you don't trust them, don't use the internet then. What happened to Andy Walker? I didn't. Is he okay? Most people can't figure out PGP, and even if you could figure out both sides of it. No, it is not. The feed, Jeff, is edited. You mean like ours? No, it's modified. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. I guess the point that I was making is that anything that you use on the internet has that risk. If you send email, it's sent over the internet in a clear fashion. Anything you use over the internet can be, quote, spied upon, and in many cases is scanned by machinery. In some cases, could be spied upon by humans. And you probably shouldn't use the internet if you really want to be private. The people who really want to be private on the internet are using all sorts of very sophisticated techniques. Starts with PGP, pretty good privacy encryption on your email. That means both ends have to understand how to do that. It's one of the things that keeps it from happening. You'd have to use Tor to access the dark web so that your traffic is going over non-traditional channels. And you'd have to encrypt everything so that your ISP doesn't see it. The problem with the encryption is unless you can encrypt end-to-end, which requires an agreement on both sides, at some point it will be unencrypted so that it can travel over the internet and then anybody can see it. Don't... You remember in Breaking Bad, where, well, if you saw the show, Walter White wanted to get off the grid. How did he get off the grid? He moved to a cabin in Alaska that didn't have electricity, didn't have the internet. He had to walk a couple of miles into town on back roads for groceries. Couldn't use a credit card. We're on the grid nowadays. Unfortunately, I think we are. I think that's just the way it is. Walter couldn't take it for more than about a year. He had to come back. 8888 ask Leo. So I understand if you're worried about Google spying on you, I understand. But don't ask for an alternative that doesn't spy on you. They all, quote, spy on you or have the capability of, quote, spying on you. As long as you understand that spying isn't what you think. It's not some guy reading it. It's a machine scanning it. As long as you understand that's what I'm talking about. They all do that. It's happening all the time, and there's nothing you can do about it. And to achieve true privacy on the web on the internet is so difficult that only experts can achieve it, and even then it's dubious. Get off the internet. Get off the internet. It's the best choice if you don't want anybody spying on you. And but whatever you do, don't carry a cell phone. That's made for spying. Hello, Heather Hammond, phone ranger, taking the calls.
Hey, Leo.
Who do you think I should talk to here?
I have a lovely holdover from yesterday, actually, two of them.
Good.
Joshua didn't make it in, and he's our first call today. Joshua in Nashville.
Darn show's only 3 hours, you know?
Sorry, man.
Joshua, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Joshua. What can I do for you today?
Talk to you, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you, sir.
I have a small YouTube channel that I'm very proud of, but lately my view count has not been increasing, and I was wondering what I could do to get my videos in front of new viewers.
You're stuck at 301, or is it just in general it's not as big as you'd like it to be?
In general, it's not as big as I'd like it to be.
You know that there's a little thing that YouTube does with view counts. It stops if it comes in too fast at 301, and then later it goes.
Right.
But if you're talking like over a periods of months, you know, it's 5,000, 2,000, 150. That's frustrating, isn't it?
It is.
You're asking the wrong guy, because I look at our Twitch channels, the channels for this show and others, and it's hard to get it over, you know, a certain few thousand. I think we all have a misconception about what YouTube numbers should look like due to the success of viral videos, which will get in some cases the billions of views. Those are unrealistic. Now there are people I would refer to a guy named Marcus Brownlee, MKBHD on YouTube. MKBHD on YouTube. He's a wonderful guy. He's a student, young fella. He does reviews on YouTube. He's extremely successful. In fact, just crossed 1 million subscribers. So that sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Of course.
Yeah. And then look at his videos, and almost all of his videos are in the hundreds of thousands, but not all, but some. Some are lower, some are higher, but almost all of them are at least 100,000. In some cases, he'll get 500,000. He's got some with 1.5 million. This guy has got it locked. And this one I would use as an example. What kind of content is your content?
I create gaming videos.
Okay. So you're probably looking at somebody like PewDiePie, who's #1 on YouTube, and saying, well, how does PewDiePie do it? PewDiePie, let me see how many subscribers. He has 22 million subscribers on YouTube. Typical video. Now here's, will be over, 1 million. Most videos are 2 million and up. 2 million views. Some are 12, 15 million. Here's one that's 42 million views. Wow. That's what you're looking for. And all this guy does, he's just some Swedish guy who plays games and then talks over the game while he's playing them. He makes jokes. He's not, frankly, he's no Robin Williams. So I'm sure somebody like you and certainly somebody like me will look at that and go, well, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And I just, like I said, you're asking the wrong guy. If I knew how, I'd do it. I think there's some kind of content that is viral and some that isn't. Now, here's the other thing. I think sometimes we overestimate the value of a YouTube view. Because I watch YouTube. A lot of kids watch YouTube, and I look at the 11-year-old that I live with. Michael is a big YouTube guy, and he watches PewDiePie, and he'll watch the same video 20, 30, 40 times. Also, YouTube, we don't know how they count these views. I believe that they count it as soon as you click it. That's a view. So, are they viewed to the end? Probably not. The question is, how do you get viral? And I just don't know. I've listened to a lot of experts. It's certainly great if you can make people laugh. That's what PewDiePie does. And I hear Michael chortling all the time as he's watching his videos. Sometimes because he uses bad language, and Michael's 11 years old, and hearing a bad word is funny to him. That seems to me not such a success. That's a great idea. I look at good friends who are trying to make a living on YouTube. And sometimes it's hard going. Well, a lot of times they'll include other people. I know Justine does very well. She's a friend. I watched her climb up from the beginning, and people love her video. She's a cute girl. That doesn't hurt. Appearance helps. I think in case of Marcus Brownlee, it's not particularly funny, but he has great content. People watch because his reviews are good. So great content gets you a long part of the way, and getting the word out. Now, I've asked people over and over again, if you can make it on YouTube, there's so many videos uploaded all the time. It's such a huge space. Is it sufficient just to be good? And I think the general agreement is it is. Create great content, and in the end, you'll win. But to get jump-started, you have to get the word out. And so I think building a community by sharing your videos other places, getting other people with big audiences to visit your channel. That's one of the techniques a lot of people use. What's the name of your channel?
YouTube.com/TheJoshuaPlays.
The Joshua Plays. And going on a national radio show and saying The Joshua Plays, that's a good start. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. But if I knew how to do it, believe me, I'd be doing it. Okay, here's problem number one. I search for The Joshua Plays, and I get a lot of Joshua Bell playing Ave Maria, Joshua Bell playing. So there's a problem right there. You got to have a name that is unique. So, that's a problem. It'd be hard to find. Oh, Andy had a baby. Yeah, I did know that, actually. I did know that. Andy and his girlfriend, yeah. I'm sure he was doing all those things. It's not easy. I look at, the guy who used to do our show, This Week in YouTube. And, man, he's working hard. And he's doing all those things, right? And I love him. Lamar Wilson, right? Yeah, Lamar. And I love what he's doing. Let's just see how he's doing. He's entertainer at large. He used to call himself the funniest guy in tech. Now he's got 232,228 subscribers. But you look at some of his videos, 27,000, 15,000, 79,000. This is fairly successful. It's not a way to make a living. We don't know how much YouTube pays, but it's thought to be somewhere around, what was it? A penny per thousand, something like that. So it's not a lot of money. What was it? Was it $1? No, I'm trying to remember. Let's see how much YouTube pays. No, the YouTube doesn't reveal this. Oh, there was a great site that Chad keeps showing me. So here's one guy wrote a blog. He had 4 million views. He got $5,600. Now, if you have put a video up every day that has, that makes you a couple of thousand a day, that's okay. That's okay. You don't make a huge amount of money. So, and I know Lamar's done everything right? He brings other people on. He does funny stuff. He plays games. He has great thumbnail images. He does everything he can. I know he's working as hard as he can. And I imagine it's a little frustrating when you're in the 2,000 to 3,000 views. We don't live on YouTube. I consider YouTube a promotional channel for us. So let's go to, I don't know, This Week in Tech. Let's see our channel here. So this is our biggest show. This is the show that makes us all the money on the podcast. Yeah, it's 3,000 or 4,000 views. I've never seen a check from YouTube. I don't know how much money that is. It's not much. But these are shows that generate downloads in the hundreds of thousands, and we know those are real numbers. So we get a $70 to $80 CPM. I think YouTube is closer to $1.50, something like that. I don't even think it's that much. So this typical one would make $4 or $5. And in other words, you're asking the wrong guy. I have no clue. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Boy, I wish I could figure out how to make a viral success on YouTube. It seems to be like catching lightning in a bottle. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. I haven't been able to do it with my network, but I make a decent living, but not through YouTube. I consider YouTube to be a promotional vehicle more than anything else. But that's also because the stuff we do is long. We do long shows, and I think short shows do better, right? 8888 asked Leo, do you know how to make a viral success on YouTube? You're probably not listening to this show. You're busy making videos. That's the other side of it. There was a good New York Times article last week about YouTube stars and how hard they work to make, a decent living, $100,000, $150,000 a year. But that to do that, they have to make videos every day. They have to work constantly to promote themselves. It is hard work. I'm not crazy about the YouTube model. We don't know exactly how much money you make on YouTube. Some YouTube creators have talked about how much they've made. They call it, sometimes they measure it by the cost per thousand. That is, for every 1,000 plays, how much do you make? And it's a few bucks. It's a few bucks. Although it can vary. I'm looking at a blog by a guy who had a YouTube channel that had 4 million views. He made a total of $5,600. That's a lot of work. I have to look and see. I don't know how much we make, but it's on the order of hundreds of dollars a month. Hundreds of dollars a month. 8888 asks Leo, I have a better way. Thanks to our advertisers, we don't have to worry about YouTube. Aurelia in Riverside, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Aurelia. Oh, I got to push that button. Hi, Aurelia.
Hi. I have a question.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I hear you great.
Okay. I bought my MacBook Pro in 2007, the end. And I went last month or 2 months ago to Apple Store, and they told me about Maverick.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, is Maverick compatible to this old laptop?
You're right on the edge of what's compatible. What? Tell me a little bit more about it. Is it the white one, or is it silver? Is it aluminum?
Aluminum.
Aluminum. So it's 2007.
Yes.
Is it? I'm going to look at the specs here on this. Is it? You see, it's so it's not the black one or the white one.
No,
it's not
it's the
plastic.
silver.
It's the
Yeah.
silver one. All right. You know, it should be all right. How much memory RAM is in there? Do you know?
Well, that time I think it's 2 gigs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They came with 1 gig, I think. I'm looking.
Yeah, and I paid extra to put
Put
another.
in 2. You can
Yeah.
go up to 4. I think 2 is a little light on Mavericks. So you're right. Let me put it this way. You're right on the edge. And the negative of this is that if it doesn't work well, it'll be very slow and painful and unpleasant for you. And it's hard to go back.
Yeah.
So I would say, did they encourage you to do so or no?
Well, the guy told me he was skeptical.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at Apple's own recommendations, and they say that you should have a 2008 or later MacBook.
Yeah. Because he was asking me when did I buy the laptop. I said, well, the end of 2007.
Is it a MacBook? It's a MacBook Pro, right?
Right.
Is it a 15-inch?
Yes.
Okay, so you are right at the edge. They say the 15 or 17-inch MacBook Pro from mid to late 2007 is compatible, but it is very touchy. It says it'll work in 2 gigs of memory.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with the genius. I think, you know, I don't think you should. Let me say this.
I shouldn't.
I wouldn't. I think that there's not much you'll gain by doing so. Mavericks, in fact, is fairly buggy. There's some things that will break.
Mm-hmm.
I would just stick with what version of the operating system are you using right now?
Safari.
No.
Sorry. I use Leopard.
Leopard.
No, Leopard.
Yeah, I would try to get a little bit later than that. You might want to go
You mean
to
the Lion?
yeah, try Lion.
Okay.
But I don't think you should go any later than that. You've got a 7-year-old laptop.
Mm-hmm.
It's often the case, whether it's Windows or Mac or anything else, that putting an operating system from 7 years later on it is gonna hurt performance. I would put Lion on it just to get there's some features in Lion that you want, like the App Store, and then just leave it at that.
Okay, so in another word, I have to get ready, prepare to buy a new one.
Yeah. 7, yeah. 7, well, not necessarily. I mean, it will happen that somebody at some point...
Actually, I'm very happy with my laptop.
Yeah.
I love Mac.
Yeah, no, it works fine. And the only time you'd have to get a new one, there are 2 things that could happen. Apple could say, we're not going to support Lion anymore, and you're going to have problems with it. That's what's happening to Windows XP users in a month. Or, more likely, in the Apple world anyway, an application will come out that won't run on anything less, say, than Mavericks. And at that point, you have to decide, do I want the application or not? You know, for instance, GarageBand probably wouldn't run on your Snow Leopard 2007.
Well, at that time, it cost me like $2,500.
Yeah, they're a lot less now. You can get a very nice upgrade for about $1,200, and it would be faster.
But they're not 17 inches.
Oh, you have 17.
No, 15. I'm sorry.
15. Yeah. No, let me just check. I think if you go to the Apple Store and you look at a 15-inch MacBook Pro, $12.99 they start at. That's the 13. Okay, we want 15.
Yeah, I really
you're right.
love
It's
that one with the Retina.
Yeah, you want Retina. That's 2,000.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Nice to talk to you, Aurelia. Yeah, I concur with the experts at the Apple Store. It's just pushing it a little too much, and it's hard to go backwards once you do it. And it'd be better just, I think, go to Lion, because that's going to give you some benefits you don't have, and leave it at that. Karen, Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Leo. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's nice to talk to you.
I am calling about a computer that is going to make the last lady's computer look like the newest thing ever.
Uh-oh.
My crazy husband bought a 1986 Wang a few weeks ago on eBay.
Is that for nostalgia purposes?
Yeah, more or less, and also to see if he could make it work.
So the Wang was a dedicated word processor.
Yes, it was what he cut his teeth on back in the day.
A lot of people that, you know, if you went into a law office or anywhere where they did a lot of word processing, if it was state of the art in the early to mid '80s, it would have been a Wang.
Yes.
In fact, so much so that when they came out with I want to say Microsoft Word, but it's not Word. The other Corel's very big word processor. They duplicated the Wang keystrokes to make people feel at home.
Oh God! Well, it is so clunky. It is an amazing piece.
Well, what did you WordPerfect? That was it. WordPerfect duplicated the Wang keystrokes.
Yeah. Well, we were so excited about it. We were, making all kinds of jokes. Really, when you type.
Yeah, of course. Anything named Wang is going to ask for. Hey, hold on a second. We're going to take a break and we'll come back.
Sure.
I'll see if I can help you out here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, thank you for the that link to the site Chad uses. I can never remember that. I know. Kevin Spacey's giving a bunch of interviews. Yeah, wasn't that great where the cufflinks? I love that. We watched 2 more episodes, so I think we watched 4 and 5 now.
And you finished that half.
Yeah, that was 4. Finished 4 and watched 5.
I thought it was 2.5.
It's 3.5.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm about halfway through season 2. We're trying to get Spacey, but I think it's not going to happen. Yeah, boy, Apple's all over House of Cards, aren't they? Wow.
Oh, you know what I heard on the way in that was really interesting?
What
is
did
about
you
the
hear?
Olympics. Since Samsung's a huge sponsor.
Yeah, they had to cover up their
they're
Apple
running
logos on their
around
phones. Yeah.
Everyone, all the reporters.
Notice there were no, Samsung was at great pains to tell all the athletes during the parade of athletes at the opening ceremony, we do not want to see Apple logos everywhere. So they gave them covers. If you notice, I was looking because I knew this, and there were a lot of Apple phones, but they gave them covers. And every one of them got a Samsung. It's just that many of them didn't want to use it.
So like goose step, whatever. Like they're running around with duct tape and throwing it across things. And then Volkswagen's also a sponsor, so like no Mercedes-Benz.
Right.
Or no Mercedes-Benz.
Yep. Yep. Don't say anything, Jeff.
What?
He's saying something. No spoilers.
Yeah. Be careful in there.
No spoilers.
Chatty chat.
Wang word processor. I gotta look this up. Don't it's not funny. What are you 8?
What?
No, nothing.
You talking to me?
Yeah, I thought you were laughing at the word Wang.
Oh, of course I am.
It was founded in
Frankie the Waffle made me
1951
laugh.
by Dr. Ann Wang and G.Y. Chu. At its peak in the 80s, they had annual revenues of $3 billion, 33,000 employees. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 asks Leo, you've made a successful product, the Wang word processor. When everybody knows the name, the PC software of the era copies your keystrokes so that secretaries will feel comfortable with it. And then somebody 40 years later buys one because it's nostalgic. Karen on the line from L.A., her husband bought an old... Which Wang did he buy on eBay?
It was the 1980s.
Oh, no, we lost her. You hear that? Boom. That means
Locked out.
she bounced away. She bought it in the mid-1980s. One of the things Wang wanted to do was take over the general-purpose mini computing space, but their timing was very bad. They reached their peak in the mid-80s, right when IBM released its IBM PC. That was 1981. Of course, Apple had released the Apple II some years earlier, and the Macintosh came out in '84. So It's one of those cases. It's probably a great case study in a technology company at its peak in the mid-'80s. But that peak was exactly the end. They had annual revenues in the 80s of $3 billion. They employed 33,000 people in Lowell, Massachusetts. I mean, really, really successful. And if you were to look at that company in 1985, you'd say, wow, that's a great company. But already the seeds of complete, utter destruction have been planted. You know, it's all over. They didn't file for bankruptcy till 1992, but the writing was on the wall when IBM came out with its PC, except a lot of people, a lot of businesses said, oh, that's a toy. We got Karen back. All right. Sorry about that, Karen.
Hi.
I'm not sure what happened there.
I think my nose hung up.
I do that all the time.
Yes.
You must have a prominent proboscis like I do.
I don't think so, but yeah, apparently too prominent for this one. And this is high tech stuff I'm talking to you on.
I love
the Wang.
I love the trip down memory lane. So what is your question?
Well, before I get to the question, I definitely want to mention that Andy, my husband, wrote an Amazon book about this Wang because the double entendres started flying the minute we saw it and started talking about it. So the book is called 69 Things I Do with My Wang.
You know, according to the chat room, Stephen King's wife, when Stephen King was writing with his Wang word processor, loved telling visitors, "Oh, Stephen's upstairs playing with his Wang," and I think I think that you have to be 12 years old to really appreciate that. 69 things. All right. Well, we'll. That's awesome. It's a 99-cent Kindle single, so good deal, you know. The bummer is that it came out, the photos came out to, I think it was 14 megabytes, and we had to get it down to 3 to do the 99-cent book. So the photos suffered quite a bit going from 14 down to 3. But too much scrunching. Did you use, what did you use to create this? Did you use Amazon's own service, or?
You know, he did it, and I believe that's what he used. Yeah.
Create Space, it's called.
Yeah.
So is that him on the cover with his feet on the old computers?
No, it's not. Basically, when you decide to do a book on the cheap, and this, you know, I mean, we wanted to offer it for 99 cents, so we definitely did it on the cheap. You have a bunch of covers that you can choose from, free covers. And when we saw this, I mean, it was like, oh my God,
that's perfect.
It really was. I mean,
so does he use it as a word processor? Has he been able to get it running and everything?
Yes. The story is when we got it on eBay, the person who was selling it, and you know, it looked beautiful, and it is, in fact. I mean, it's really nice. It's hardly scratched or anything, but he found it in somebody's garage or something, and he wasn't sure if it was in working condition.
Right.
So we plugged it in, and basically we thought it was dead. Nothing was happening. And then 30 minutes later, my husband presses the button again, and it comes on. It comes to life. and we got it to work. And I think that was when the volley of double entendres started.
Yeah.
Got the old Wang working.
Yeah. That's great. So is he going to use it for anything, or is it?
Well, mostly he just wanted to see if he could put a piece of paper in and have it print something. You know, it really is typewriter-ish in so many ways.
Yeah.
And he did, in fact, get that to work. There really isn't much we can do with it.
No.
But we do like to...
It would have been good if he'd written his book on it, but then the problem is, how would he get it to Amazon?
Oh, yeah.
He'd have to print it out and send it to somebody.
It is the limitations. I could go on and on, but we actually, had a good time, doing the putting the paper in and typing something on. And then when we went to use it again a few days later, it was the same thing. You plug it in and it's like it's dead. And then 30 minutes later, voila. And it's been that way every single time.
Huh.
So
I wonder what that is. Maybe that's how long it takes. I don't know. I've never used one. Maybe it just they expect the staff to come in the morning, turn on the Wang, and then go have a cup of coffee, chat for a little bit, and then 30 minutes later they can start word processing. I hope that there'll be a Madman episode. I would call Anthony Weiner about your... Oh, no, that's not it. Matthew Weiner.
God.
I'm sorry, I got his name wrong. I would call Matthew Weiner and say, I've got a Wang, and would you like to use this on Mad Men? And I bet you when they get into that era that they will. That's perfect.
Oh, wow. I hope Mad Men lasts that long. I don't know what year they're up to now. But
They started using them in the 60s. In fact, they probably, Selectrics. Remember IBM Selectrics? That's actually what I want is an IBM Selectric. I would love to have one of those. We don't have any in our massive computer museum here at the Brick House. We've got all kinds of computers. We don't have a Wang or a Selectric. It'd be fun to have that.
Well,
I don't. So here's what a couple of people in the chat room think. That there is a battery in it that is getting a surface charge. And so it's so worn out that it doesn't hold a charge. But it gets a surface charge as you plug it in, gets to a certain point, and then everything can start up. So that's one possibility. Now
that's very interesting.
Yeah. That's a good call. It's possible, that it has to heat up. Now, I know that doesn't sound quite right, but you could try blowing on it with a blow dryer before you turn it on. If that fixes it, then that's what's going on. I'm not sure it's worth spending a lot of time getting that thing started. Now, I should warn you, if you leave it on for more than 4 hours, you probably should see a doctor. That's terrible, and I'm going to hang up on you right now. I can't believe you said that, Karen. Thank you, Karen. Hey, give my best to Andy. It sounds like a great book. It's on Amazon. Andy Paz, the author. And if I say the name of the book, I'm going to get canceled by the FCC. In fact, this whole call probably should be edited out of the final episode. Thank you very much,
so
Karen. Take care. I'm going to take a break. I need to cool off here. I'm going to take a break. We'll come back and answer more of your calls next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's hard for me to bring myself to buy a Windows phone.
No Olympic sports.
Like figure skating?
I haven't watched anything yet. I kind of looked at some snowboarding GoPro camera stuff last weekend.
See the
and of course
the
Ashley,
luge GoPro of the guy
that
he
must
put
be
it.
great.
Oh, it was wow.
And then of course I saw Ashley Wagner's face last weekend because it was part of the show.
GoPro's brilliant. They announced an IPO right after the Winter Olympics.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's still about what, $300-400?
What, the GoPro?
get
Yeah,
one?
I have
Yeah.
several.
Love
them.
Give me.
I don't know if this is the one.
Should I borrow one for
You
Africa?
could borrow one anytime. Yeah, I got to give you a camera kit and a.
It'll be a shot. It'll be from the viewpoint of me looking over my shoulder as a lion chases me across the
Right.
Serengeti.
Yeah. GoPro's not really for Africa. You need a good camera. I'll get you a good camera.
I'll borrow my dad's. I'd hate myself. I'd have to kill myself.
Does he have a
if
good camera?
Anything happened to your camera?
All right. Does he
I
have a
forget
good
what
one?
it is. I know it's pretty good. Kim's offered too, I think. I just have to figure out who's the most forgiving human being I know and borrow their camera.
You won't. Okay, this is it. Watch. Oh, actually, this is not the one I was thinking of, but this is similar. Yeah, I mean, nuts to do this.
Oh, it's
doesn't even look
totally
fun.
safe. It's like being.
Doesn't even look fun. It looks just like
It's like
awful.
being a drink coming up through a straw into someone's mouth.
Awful.
You
I like that. That's good. It's one of those curly straws. Yeah. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet, smartphones, home theater, all that jazz. At half past the hour, our digital photography guru, Chris Marquardt, will do some photographic myth busting. You've been watching? You don't watch the Olympics, Heather? I'm surprised. Seems like that's something you'd enjoy.
Well, the way we view content these days, it's like, I'll get around to it
Well,
when I
that's
get
true.
around to it.
Yeah,
when
that's
someone
true.
posts something exciting, I'll click on it,
Well, I thought it was very interesting. GoPro, they make those little portable cameras you see everywhere. They're cool. I have a couple of GoPros. They're really, you can mount them on your head or on a helmet or on your chest. When you get the GoPro, it comes with a bunch of different mounts. I have a head mount that you strap the whole thing on and you put it on your head. And they're tiny, but the quality of the video is so good that you see a lot of extreme sports. They use these. The videos of the guys in the squirrel suits flying down the mountain. That's all that.
And surfing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And GoPro's marketing strategy is brilliant because, by the way, these are not the only cameras that can do this, but they've really associated themselves with extreme sports. They've made these great videos, and if you visit the website, GoPro.com, they have, the videos just start playing and you see this amazing stuff. In fact, they've even said, we want to be a content company because that's where the money is. Oh, the money's in selling GoPros, but they want to have they have a GoPro channel on YouTube and stuff. They announced just a couple of weeks ago that they're going to go public. That's the big cash out, right? You go initial public offering on Wall Street. You sell stock. You make millions, billions sometimes. And I realized the reason they timed it is because of the Winter Olympics. So many of the athletes during the Winter Olympics will be wearing GoPros. There was one that just went up of one of our American lugers. Who took a GoPro with him down the luge chute in Sochi. And it is just crazy. Matt Mortensen is a double luger. And so this is, I don't know if this was a run, a medal run, or if this was just a warm-up. But boy, it is amazing. They go as fast as around 100 miles an hour. And this is the 2014 Olympic luge run. And you couldn't do this without this little tiny camera. It's mounted on his helmet. And it really is what he's seeing as he's going down the luge. And you get a sense of how fast he's going because there are people, there are no spectators. It's just a giant tunnel. But there are people standing along the sidelines, I guess, he gets stuck or something. And you could see them whiz by. I mean, just like that. Brilliant. Now, of course, when GoPro has their public offering right after the Winter Olympics, they're going to be the hot item. Everybody's going to know about them. Brilliant.
I mean, the camera just seems to sell itself.
It does.
If you participate in almost anything and you see one of those videos, you're like, I got to have it.
I got to wear one.
Yeah.
We're going zip lining.
Oh, perfect.
And when you go there, you can bring a GoPro, but they have GoPros, and they'll lend you a GoPro, and they put it on your helmet. And
oh, cool. Then
they sell that to they take the GoPro back, and they sell the video to you at the end of the run.
At least you have a recording of your own self screaming.
Yeah. Zip lining, you don't go 100 miles an hour, but it's enough. It's enough. It's plenty. Believe me. Plenty. I'll wear one. Tomorrow I'm going horseback riding. I mentioned this to you in the break. I didn't really want to, so I said, I'm too heavy for a horse. And no, they said, no, we got old Joe. So I'll wear the GoPro on old Joe. It's not exactly going to be a high-speed video.
Maybe.
Clump, clump, clump. Oh, my. Look at that Clydesdale take off. Clump, 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 clump. 8888, ask Leo. That's the phone number. Russ is in Redondo Beach. Our next call. Hi, Russ. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, good afternoon. How are things?
They're great. How are you?
I'm good. At work, I use a XP machine, and its end of life is coming, which is not a problem. But the problem is I keep all my contacts on an old handspring program.
What?
Yes.
You had a visor?
Yes, I still have it. Actually, I don't use it, but I have it, and I use it just to transfer stuff from two old computers I've got. But I need to update it to something, and I've been looking and I haven't found anything to transfer to that does a similar.
Does the so you have Handspring software on your computer?
Yes.
Do you? I know with the Palm, which is the same operating system, you would be able to export the data from the software to some sort of format, right?
Right. Now I'm trying to find a format that'll work on, say, Windows 7 and maybe a Samsung G3 smartphone.
Yeah. So the first thing I would do is I would export the data to probably one of the formats available will be comma separated value, or CSV. That's a very common format for this kind of stuff. There may be other formats as well. And what I would do is, do you have an account, a Gmail account or a Google account of any kind?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I would upload it to Google. The Google Contacts and Google Calendar will import those CSV files directly.
Okay.
And then you'll have an online Google Calendar, which you could then sync to a desktop. If you're using Outlook, for instance, there's a sync tool. And if you're using an Android phone, that's trivial. You just log on. You'll do that anyway when you log on to your Android phone. When you first use it, it asks you, what's your Google account? And you log into that, and it immediately populates your data from your contacts, your calendar, automatically. So it's a great way to move from a Visor, wow, to a more modern PDA. It's just contacts in the calendar, right?
Well, not even the calendar too much. It's just I've got like 1,600 contacts, and I just
you don't want to re-enter them.
No.
You know, I remember the old days when you'd get a new phone and you'd sit there for hours entering your contacts in. It was such a pain. Nowadays, with a smartphone, I haven't done it in years because I keep everything on Google. That's the easiest way. There are other ways to do it, but I feel like Google's free. It's there. It's easy, and it will automatically sync with any Android device, and it's pretty easy to get it onto a computer as well.
Okay.
So that's my suggestion for anybody with any old format. That's a really old format. The Handspring Visor. That was a Palm device, kind of like the Palm Pilot, that was very popular. You can get one for $50 online if you want. We have one actually in our museum over here. They used to take these Handspring modules that you'd plug into the back. Wow, you could still get them on Amazon. A lot of people still using these. If you have a Pilot, if you have a Handspring, almost any old device, if you can export out. So the key is to have the desktop software, and in the desktop software, export it into a format that can be read. One of the most common formats is CSV. That's pretty straightforward. Russ in Redondo. Oh, that was Russ. Jason in Los Banos, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Leo. I have a 2008 compact PC.
Yep.
With Windows Vista.
Yes, sir.
With no recovery disk.
Uh-oh.
And I got a blue screen.
Uh-oh.
I'm wondering if there is any website on Google that can tell me how to...
You may believe it or not, you may be able to call HP and say, I have this model compact. Can you send me the recovery disks? And for a fee, usually a nominal fee, like $20, they will send you a recovery disk that works with that particular machine.
Okay.
If not, then the other alternative is to go to newegg.com. And since you have Vista, Windows 7 would be an excellent choice. Pick up a Windows 7 install disk, and they're pretty cheap right now on Newegg. You can buy the OEM version if you wish.
Okay.
I think under $100, and that it baffles me that a company would sell a computer without a recovery disk for this very reason. But they did. They do. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. If you're running a small business, you can't operate at anything less than full speed. Yeah, he may have a recovery partition. I don't know that era. I don't know. Are you having fun? It's not bored to tears? Well, I just sit here and eat my sandwich, drink my coffee, and try to make my brain work. Sometimes it doesn't work so well. When Lisa gets here, I'll introduce you because we use QuickBooks Online. Very happily. We've used it ever since she arrived. That's the first thing she did. She said, well, I don't know what you're doing with those spreadsheets, but we're going to put you on QuickBooks.
Green line paper, right?
Yeah. Well, no, because it was me. I didn't know of double entry from Adam, so I...
The other word processor you didn't mention was Multimate.
Multimate.
They preceded Word.
Multimate. That's right.
They were kind of the big one before.
They were. Gosh, that really takes me back. Yeah. An electric pencil, and gosh, there were a lot of Lotus. Yeah. What was the Lotus word processor?
Oh my God. They had Approach, but that was their database.
Wasn't Abby? No, it was. I used a wonderful. My favorite word processor was a weird one, and I still have.
WordStar was one.
WordStar I used. In fact, we interviewed Seymour Rubenstein a couple of weeks ago. He was a character. Yeah, Multimate used the Wang keyboard as well.
Exactly.
They offered a large plastic template that clipped on the PC keyboard. So if you'd used a Wang, you would go, oh, I know what that does. And actually, the PC's function keys, I think, came from the fact that Wang had the function keys, and you had to support that.
Multimate was from East Hartford, Connecticut.
Ah, down the road.
Right down the road.
Down the road a piece.
That's kind of how we got to be into that market.
Ashton Tate took it over. Oh, I love this. Multimate in 1985 was acquired by Ashton Tate for $20 million. $20 million. Ashton Tate sent out a press release calling it the largest ever acquisition in the microcomputer software industry. 20 million. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
But Lotus, they still went on. They did that whole stuff with the...
What's the name of this word? I loved this word processor. I really like WordPerfect 3.0 on the Mac. Was a very good word processor. But on Windows... what did I use? No, in DOS I used Gordon Eubank's company had a word processor, Right. I can't remember what it was called. It was really nice green screen DOS word processor. Ami Pro, that's it.
Oh yes, Lotus Ami.
Lotus Ami Pro, and I loved that. I used that for a long time. I still have in my back documents folder some Ami Pro files, which I probably cannot open anymore.
You know, I find clients come up with stuff, and I do conversions from the wildest stuff.
Oh, I bet.
DB2 still.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I did a lot of DB2 programming.
I know.
I love DB2. I have a bunch of Ami Pro. I think .ami was the extension. I don't know what to do with them.
You're talking about old things. I love the Sony Clie.
The Clie was my favorite Palm device. Yeah, I played Bedazzled so much on it, or Bejeweled so much on it, that because it used a stylus, that I was scored in a grid of all the places I had moved the jewels.
That was a precursor for the iPhone.
Yeah, the Clie was really nice Palm device. You think the LibreOffice might open the Ami profiles? It'd be fun to reopen some of those. There was like job applications and Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back in the saddle again. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the number. I don't know how we got. I guess because of the call last hour about the Wang word processor. We were talking about vintage word processors that we have used, and I was a big fan of Ami Pro. Loved that, the Lotus word processor. Mary and Michaela are here, like me. They go back a ways in the computer industry. Q&A Write, that was the one I used. I loved Q&A Write for a long time. That was a DOS word processor. WordPerfect was pretty good on the Mac until version 4, and then they messed that up. Then Microsoft just dominated with Word, and everything went away. Everything disappeared. It was Microsoft Word or nothing. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, you want to take a trip back through memory lane, we could do that too. Armin's on the line from Los Angeles. Hi, Armin. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, Leo, I got a question about backing up my files. I do photography, and I got 4 different hard drives. I got three terabyte ones and internal ones.
Yeah.
I just upgraded to an SSD, which is filled up already, and I constantly am afraid of losing data. Like, if one of my hard drives gives up, I'm just afraid of losing it.
It's a huge issue because, you know, of course, it's a huge issue for everybody, but photographer in particular, if, for instance, you did a wedding, you're not going to restage that wedding just so you can get those pictures back. That's it. You don't get a second chance. And the last thing you'd want is a bridezilla going after you saying, "Where's my wedding pictures? You lost them. How could you?" My friend Peter Krogh is also a photographer, great photographer, is an expert on exactly this. It's called workflow, right? The idea of, workflow is more than just backup, but the whole idea of workflow is a process, maybe a little bit of a rigid process that you go through from the point where you take the picture, you process the picture, you archive the picture, that guarantees no data loss, and that you can find the pictures. You didn't even mention that. Yeah, those hard drives could fail, but also you've got multiple hard drives. You've got probably hundreds of thousands of images. Where is it? So there are a couple of suggestions I have. Peter wrote the DAM book, D-A-M book, Digital Asset Management. It's called the Digital Asset Management Book for Photographers. It's about exactly this, how to keep track of stuff. And he's just released, we had him on, a new one called Organizing Your Photographs with Lightroom. Do you use Lightroom?
Yeah, of course. It's the best software ever.
Yeah. Well, it can be used to solve this problem in terms of archiving the files in a way that you know where they are. And he just released this. If you go to thedambook.com, THEDAMBOOK.com, you can find both books. My suggestion, Peter came up with the thing that I talk about all the time, the 3-2-1 backup strategy. And he's written about this on a website that he created with the Library of Congress, actually, because it's in their interest that stuff gets saved. It's dpbestflow, in other words, bestworkflow.org. And if you go to the backup section here under best practices, you'll see an article on 3-2-1 backup by Peter. And this is all about how to do the best, most, backup in such a way that you really preserve your data and you don't have to worry about it. The 3-2-1 rule he talks about is, I think, kind of the critical thing you need to understand. 3 copies of any important file, a primary and 2 backups. You delete one, you don't do it until you make another one. You need 3 copies, okay? 2 different kinds of media, and this answers that question you had about losing data because of a hard drive failure. For instance, a hard drive and an optical drive, or a USB key. And then the most important one is 1 copy should be stored off-site. That is, somewhere else, so that if there's a fire, you still have a copy somewhere. So 3 copies, and then if you use Lightroom, you can use Lightroom to keep track of which hard drive that file is on. And he has a very, very good description of how to do that. So I'm going to refer you to the expert, Peter Krogh, K-R-O-G-H, because he's a pro photographer. He has exactly the issues that you've talked about, Armin. Lots of images. I've never seen somebody take more pictures than Peter. Some photographers, are very spare and they take just the right image. He blankets anything. Thousands of images a day. So this guy knows how to do it.
May I ask one more question, though?
Sure.
About the Drobo, for example, because I think I got it pretty much down, the workflow, but I'm definitely going to check out his website, dpbestflow.org. But I was thinking about the Drobo, and there's so many different alternatives.
All a Drobo is really is a what appears to be a very large hard drive with some data redundancy. So there are multiple drives in the Drobo enclosure, and they use a proprietary technology that's very much like RAID 5. That means that if any one of the 4 drives, there's actually a Drobo with 8 drives, if any one of them, in the case of the 8 drives, any 2 of them fails, you could pop in a new drive and it will rebuild. You won't lose any data. But that's one company that makes these. There are many. Synology is another one. Synology makes excellent drive arrays designed to be on the network. The Drobo's designed to be generally, they have two kinds of Drobos, but the one most people use is directly connected to the computer. There is a network version, but it's not great. I would use a Synology or a ReadyNAS, one of the network attached storages. They do very similar things to a Drobo.
So instead of Drobo, the Synology, yeah?
Yeah, I like Synology a lot. That's kind of my favorite. And if you look, you'll see a broad range, two drive arrays, 5 drive arrays, and more. Drobo's fine. Now, I have nothing against them. I've used Drobos for years. They're a little loud, but it's got 5 drives in there. I'm not surprised.
But all of them will do the same thing?
Yeah, what you're looking for, the key is RAID 5.
RAID 5.
What RAID 5 is it allows you to make, it looks like one big drive, multiple drives, at least 3, usually more drives. And it's set up in such a way that if one drive fails, you don't lose any data. You can rebuild it by replacing that drive. And drives tend to fail one at a time. It's rare that you get 2 drives to fail at the same time.
Yeah. Right now, I got, like I said, 3, so I'm just constantly backing up from one to the other, from the other to the next one.
Yeah. So that's part of it. That's part of it is the idea that you've got to you've got hardware reliability, and then the other part is the organizational tool and keeping track of it all. Lightroom and a Drobo or Lightroom and a Synology is a very good choice. But what I do is I have duplicate ReadyNASs. Netgear makes these, 2 of them. And to get the offsite component, because it's I can't use Carbonite because it's so much data, I will have the ReadyNAS run for a while and then bring it to work and swap it with the ReadyNAS that's at work so that I'm never more than a couple of weeks behind.
So you got 2 ReadyNASs, right?
That's one way to do it. Offsite is a very important part of this because nobody wants to think about it, but if you have a fire or flood or there's an earthquake, you could lose the backups if they're in the same location as the originals. So you got to get them somewhere else. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm going to eat my sandwich. So, getting ready for another photographer. Chris Marquardt's here.
Yet another photographer.
Gosh, you guys, you just can't get rid of you guys.
I should have spaced that out.
No, not at all.
But
I'm in a different location today, so
I can tell.
I hope the sound is kind of okay-ish.
It's fine. You sound. It's a little tubby because you're in a room.
It's a little roomy, and the light is kind of harshish.
The light I don't care about because it's a radio show.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So I try to put blankets everywhere. No, I didn't, but I should next time. Build a studio. So
I'm surprised you don't bring your little microphone with you.
Well, I should have, but this was kind of a quick trip, and I was like, okay, what do I need? And I forgot the microphone.
I've been using the Apogee iMic to do radio spots in my closet at home. It actually works pretty well.
The iMic.
iMic is so the reason I bought it is it's the one with the 30-pin connector.
It's yes, right. Well, which sounds really good.
And it sounds really good. And then it has a USB connector as well. So it's really good.
But it can get roomy, so
you have to work it.
Yeah, you have to work it.
Yeah. Any condenser mic can get roomy.
Yeah, I need to put an external microphone in my ready bag. I just forgot about this. So next time. Next weekend I'll be back in the studio.
It's fun. What do you want to talk about?
It's all going to be good. A myth. People say it doesn't make a difference if you zoom or if you walk.
Oh, I like it.
And I like that.
I like that.
Yes. And I'm still having fun with the SL1, with the small Canon.
You still like it? I got a couple of emails from people said I did exactly the same thing. He's absolutely right.
Me too. This is actually one of the most commented on episodes of my podcast that I've ever had in the last couple of years, because it seems that a lot of people are about to downsize, and they don't want exactly the same problems that I had. They don't want to have a separate bunch of lenses from a different system to maintain, and so this has really woken them up. This has brought them all out.
I agree. That's right.
Very interesting, yeah.
Internet radio DJ. The only thing I found with the iMac is easy to overdrive it, yeah. So you have, but it has a little volume control on it, so you can turn
it has a little volume wheel on it, right? Yeah. And you have to watch the light to see if it's getting close to peaking.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it sounds really good if you handle it well.
Well, one of the commercials we're airing on the radio show today was recorded that way. The rest were recorded on PR40. And if anybody can identify which is which, I've got a sandwich, half a sandwich for you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Some of those microphones are really amazing sounding if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with the camera. I mean, you have to work the camera in a different way, you can get very professional results from them.
Who knew?
Wow, I look like a ghost on your screen.
You look like Oz, the great and powerful. Pay no attention to the man behind the mirror, the curtain.
Oh, I'm not going to change the setting here.
So was
Berg says it's your TV.
It is. I could fix it.
No, don't. It's okay.
I think it's good. You're a little sepia anyway, but
grungy German look, yeah.
Yeah, you're grungy. What's the word? What's the German word for grunge?
I have no idea. It does not translate. There is no translation for grungy.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You hear the Kodachrome sound, the song. We just, truthfully, we just have Chris Marquardt on so we could play that song because we love that song. Hi, Chris Marquardt. Our photo guy is here. Chris, it's good to see you.
I'm so happy you're playing that song.
I love it. It's your theme now.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's from all the way back in my youth.
So did you hear our last caller? Because we were talking about the issue. Of course, Chris is a professional photographer of, keeping your photos, storing them. Where do you keep them so you don't lose them? How do you keep them? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I have also kind of a system, but that includes like a mirror disk in my main computer. So if one of the two disks goes, then it's still on one disk, so I can keep working.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Then there's a nightly backup that goes onto an external network attached storage, a Synology NAS actually, but that is in the same house. So if a plane crashes down into the house, that is gone too. So I have a nightly offsite backup, and what I use is Amazon Glacier.
Glacier is an interesting idea. Yeah.
It is, and it's one of those ideas where you put. I'm not going to go into much detail, but you can pretty much store things, but it takes a while to get them back, and this is how they can keep the prices low. And
it's very inexpensive mass storage, but it's not really like immediately available. It's as little as a penny a gigabyte per month.
And it's for geeks, and I have like a terabyte up there, but I'm kind of I can sleep well at night because I know that the important stuff is up there.
Right. It's it's the same idea with Carbonite. The idea is that it just does it. You don't have to think about it. You've got it there, and should the worst happen, you're not out of luck.
And I bet Carbonite is much easier to install.
Yeah, it is. But Glacier is a really interesting idea because Amazon realized that if they optimized for data that isn't frequently accessed, and they say for which retrieval times of several hours are acceptable, then we don't have to charge you much, if you don't need it right away. We pay as much as 10 cents a gigabyte for the storage for the podcasts because it needs to be available whenever anybody requests it, So a penny a gigabyte's good.
Yeah, if I need to do a restore, it might take 4 hours.
That's fine. That's fine.
For most things it is, yeah.
So what did you want to talk about, Mr. Marquardt?
Well, I have another myth to bust, and the myth is people sometimes say it doesn't make a difference if you zoom in or if you walk in.
Okay, this is a big argument among photographers because so you could have a zoom lens where you just turn the ring and it zooms you right in. You don't have to move. You can be very lazy. But a lot of photography teachers and so forth say, oh no, if you want to learn photography, you should go out and get a fixed focus lens. They call them prime lenses, a 50 millimeter, and then you have to move.
Well, we call that sneaker zoom, right?
Sneaker zoom.
Zooming does one thing. I mean, you can do an easy experiment. Zooming does not change your perspective. And here's your experiment. From the same spot, take the same picture at different zoom levels.
Right.
And then compare those. What you pretty much have is the same picture with a different crop. That's all it is. When you zoom, you're not changing the perspective.
That's
you're getting the
interesting.
same picture, just a smaller piece of it. That's what happens when you zoom. When you use your feet, you will actually change the perspective. And changing the perspective means, well, it does not just mean getting far or close to something. It also means to look at something from a different side, from a different location, go around something that you want to shoot. And I find that photographers tend to give up too fast. They stand somewhere, they zoom, they click, and then they go.
That's
but
me.
If you explore, if you explore a subject, if you take your time, if you walk around it, then you'll all of a sudden find that the perspective has a lot more influence than just on the subject. It also has a lot of influence on the stuff around it. For example, look at the light. Light hits your subject from a direction. Usually it does that. So if you have a front-lit subject and you walk around it, all of a sudden you have a backlit subject. Now, some subjects don't lend themselves to walking around them, but if you're shooting a plant or something, that is easy to do. The other thing is that the background will change. If you move around your subject, if you change your perspective, the background will change. And sometimes you can have a much nicer background that complements your subject as opposed to maybe overwhelming it or being in the way.
So that's the most important thing to say, which is that it isn't the same. You get a different image if you zoom in on it than if you walk in on it. They're literally different images.
Two simple exercises. Everyone who's listening can do that with their camera. If you have a zoom lens on your camera, it's easy to do. Exercise number 1, choose a subject and then shoot it from different distances. Zoom in and out so that it stays kind of the same size, but look at it from different distances. And you will see how much different that makes, even if you just keep the same background. And the second exercise is pick a subject and then explore it from different directions.
Right.
Try it out. And if you do these two things, a light bulb will go on, and you'll go, wow, didn't know that, and that might make you move more in the future and zoom less.
And it's certainly a good exercise to get used to composing a photo by moving physically. Because it just, I don't know, it just seems to be that's the best way to learn how to compose a photo.
It certainly is, and one of the best lenses to learn composition with is just a plain old simple 50mm 1.8, the nifty 50 we call that.
They say that because that's closest to just kind of what you see without a camera in front of you.
It is, and for a crop camera, if you have a DSLR for a crop camera, that is even turns into a very good portrait lens. Right. It's very bright, it's 1.8 f1.8, so you get lots of light in there, and it forces you. A prime lens forces you to use your sneakers instead of the zoom, and that is really gonna make a difference. You will love that.
Chris Marquardt is our photo guy. He joins us each and every week to talk about digital photography. You can find out more at discoverthetopfloor.com. That's his workshops site. He's also got a great new video series, discoverlightroom.com. Now that, there was a battle between Apple's Aperture and Adobe's Lightroom for a long time, but if you're working on a Mac anyway, of course on Windows you don't have the Apple program as a choice anyway. But Apple hasn't updated Aperture literally in 4 years now, and I'm starting to feel like Lightroom is just pulling ahead. It's been updated several times. It's just an amazing program. So if you are serious about your photography, it's what I use, it's what Chris uses, a lot of pros use, and you want to know more about it, discoverlightroom.com. We also have a photo assignment. I took a picture. We're looking for photos that illustrate the word, the concept, the idea. Three. And if you just take one of those images and pick one that you like and upload it to Flickr, you got to find the Tech Guy group. You can upload it there. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will welcome you. We'll accept your picture. Make sure you tag it with the word 3. And then we'll pick, I guess, soon, right? A couple of weeks, maybe?
Well, it's a couple of weeks from now, yeah.
So you got two more weeks to shoot. And the truth is, it's not a competition. It's just fun. The idea is to give you a chance to take some pictures and have some fun with it, and get out there and maybe zoom in a little bit and see. This is a silly picture, but it has the letter number 3 in it. Anyway.
That's an easy one.
Well, it was at C's Candy, and it was the day after Valentine's, and there was only one box left, so I thought that would be kind of fun.
You took that, okay.
That's me. So I'm not submitting it. Don't worry. Chris Marquardt, photo guy. By the way, and this was with the camera phone. Doesn't have to be a fancy camera. Just anything you take a picture with, upload it to our Flickr group, Tech Guy group. And Chris, we'll talk again next week.
All right.
Thanks, Chris. Take care. Chris Marquardt, discoverlightroom.com. Phone number 8888. Ask Leo if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. That's what Val did in Valencia. You're next, Val. Leo Laporte, the tech. Oh, you're next after this word from our fine sponsors. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll be back right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. You want to talk high tech like Val in Valencia. Hi, Val.
Hey, how's it going, Leo?
It's going.
Thanks for taking my call.
My
Been
pleasure.
listening to you for years, watching you on Tech TV, Screensavers. Done a great service for everybody,
Thank you.
including myself.
I'm wearing my Tech TV commemorative shirt today.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Looks good.
It's an old shirt. Very old.
As long as it still fits.
Mm-hmm. Barely.
So here's my problem, Leo. I've got a collection of 6 to 8 external hard drives running Windows OS. And over the years, I've done backups on these for various systems that I've had 4 or 5 computers old. And there's data on there that I would like to compile, offload onto one large drive, and then deduplicate or dedupe them. So I have the most current version, and then start backing up with this one large hard drive through 3-2-1 system. What can you do to help me?
Yeah, you pretty much described the process. That's the way to do it. There are a number of deduper programs for Windows. I get nervous about deduping, that is eliminating duplicates, because you want to make sure you're not accidentally eliminating something that is unique. But a good Windows file deduplicator will do something called a CSC. It will do a scan, not just the name of the file and the date. You know, a cheap one would say, okay, the names are the same, the size is the same, the file date's the same, must be the same file. A better way to do it is to actually scan into the contents, do a checksum or a cyclic redundancy check, a CRC, on the contents. What that means is they create a number, a digit that's based on the contents. And if that doesn't match, then the contents are different, and you don't want to deduplicate them. There are a number of good programs that do this. I'm looking at one that uses an MD5 checksum to deduplicate. It's called Windows File Deduper. It's free. A lot of places to do that. So the process is fairly straightforward. If you have a sync toy application, that would make it easier. What you're going to do, I would do, is can you plug both the big drive and an individual in the subset in at the same time? They're both USB?
Yes, I can.
All right.
And I have been using Windows Sync Toy, thanks to you,
Yeah.
for my primary data, which is my active data that I use constantly.
So what you'll do is take that big drive and run Sync Toy on it against one of the small drives, then plug in another small drive, run it again, plug in another small drive, run it again. Sync Toy will prevent most duplications anyway. And then if you wish, you can dedupe it on top of that. Now you've got one set that's got everything that was on those smaller drives.
Great. Good idea.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great way to do it. Consolidate them all. I would keep, if I were you, I mean, drives are cheap. I would keep the old drive just in case. That's a backup. Never throw data away. We sublet to a company in the Tech Guy Labs here called Pixel Core. They're good friends of mine, and they do a video production, that kind of thing. They do a lot of video. And what they do, you can't keep all the video you're editing online. It's too big. What they do is they just buy hard drives by the dozen, back up the work files to the hard drive, and wrap it in bubble wrap and put it on a shelf. If you go in our basement, you'll see a shelf upon shelf with massive hard drives. That's their backups. They got them all sitting there. Works fine. Now we join Jay in Gilroy, California. Hi, Jay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Greetings from the garlic capital of the world.
I have been to Gilroy many times for the Garlic Festival. I love it.
Go ahead.
I love it.
Yeah, next time you come down, we'll host you.
Deal.
By the way, I was just listening to what you were saying about the hard drives.
Yeah.
I'm actually a lawyer for a large computer company that makes large storage systems.
Oh.
And, one of the problems of putting hard drives kind of on the shelf after you store data is that when you go to spin them back up, a year or so later, a lot of them don't spin back up.
We call it stiction.
Exactly. So
sometimes you can hit them with a screwdriver and it gets
right.
Yeah, I know. I tell Alex this all the time. There's no guarantee. He says, I don't care. It's the best I can do.
Well, tell him to call me. I'll give him some information.
I appreciate it, Jay. Thank you.
Yeah, so my wife has a 2010 MacBook Air.
Yeah.
And she uses the Mail app on the Air.
Yeah.
And recently she's been opening up the app. And as soon as she opens it up, you start to hear the swoosh sound that the app makes when sending email, even though she doesn't have any email in her, mailbox to be sent. And it can be, dozens of times that she'll hear the swish sound. And last time it happened, I even tried to disconnect her computer from the internet. While it was happening, I turned off the Wi-Fi, and it kept up for another, 15 to 30 seconds afterwards.
That's annoying.
She's naturally concerned.
That's annoying.
Hack,
No, she has it. It's just the swoosh sound, like this. It goes whoosh.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, obviously it's not sending mail out, I would presume, especially since you've disconnected it. Although I would check. You look in the send file folder and you don't see a bunch of new sent items?
Exactly. There's no indication that any mail has actually been sent other than the sound happening.
The other thing to do, of course, is to check in the settings, check the mail sounds. And right there in the general settings, you can have, I would uncheck the box, play sounds for other mail actions and see if that stops.
Okay.
If it doesn't, it may, then the other thing to do is look in the sounds system preference pane and make sure she hasn't assigned the swoosh from mail to some other event. Finally, I would probably, if you are, I don't think this is malware at all. It does sound like something's gone wrong, however. It's not normal. I would maybe put something called Little Snitch on the computer. Little Snitch is a very interesting program. It's really Mac only. The idea is it watches for outbound network connections. And if it sees it, it warns you. Now, the theory being you wouldn't have an outbound connection that you didn't know about. So if somebody's trying to connect to the internet without your knowledge, then you want to know about that. Little Snitch is very handy for that. You can, once as you use it, you could say, no, that's the mail program. That's okay. So I think Little Snitch is a nice way to just check to make sure that something on your system isn't surreptitiously making outbound connections on the internet.
Okay.
But it doesn't, I would suspect that's not it. I think it's somehow something that's gone wrong, obviously. Let me check and see if I can figure out what that is. We're going to take a break anyway, but keep listening on the air and I'll see if I come up with an answer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Whoosh. I'm not really sure what that would... So she opens... It seems like she's...
business card says a lot about you and your...
It's only when she opens mail, it sounds like, which is odd. I'm trying to think what that could be. Yeah, if the basement flooded, we're screwed. Mail swoosh sound. Here's a lot of people who've lost it. The repeated mail send swoosh sound bug. Wow, how do you like that? This is just weird. With Apple TV set to mirroring, the sound periodically fails. Once fixes, that's not. Periodically, I get the repeated mail send swoosh sound. The only fix is to quit mail. This is weird. He can actually recreate this, reproduce this bug with a very odd thing, toggling from the 5 gigahertz to the 2.4 gigahertz network. And then he gets this mail sound bug. Now, this is from August of last year, so. That's not the fix, that's the how to create it. So this guy, just by turning on Apple TV mirroring, he gets the sound. I would say this is a dead end. I don't think this is it. I will, however, put this link in the show notes. It's kooky, but an Apple support link. All right, 8-Bit Steve found something. Yeah, this is the description, although he gets it over and over again. Twice when I awaken my iMac, I hear the sound of mail sending one right after the other. Both times when the mail program was open. Huh. So this is somebody reporting a similar problem. Oh. Yes, dear.
Are you still doing that? Somebody called with a story for you.
Okay, tell me the story. I can do 2 things at once.
I love it. He said, and Johnny Jett being so humble and awesome and everything, didn't tell us this, but he was on a flight. Some servicemen got on the flight, and Dave thought it was Hannity as well. They both gave up their first class seats and sat in the back and let the servicemen go take their seats in first class.
I've seen that happen a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're at they'll ask if somebody was willing to do that. That's not unusual, yeah.
Okay, the only thing I know about
That's
that is
neat.
Louis C.K. does a bit on it, how he thinks like, I'm just a schmuck. I've probably got another year of, flying first class before I'm so over.
So I'm not giving up my
I always
seat.
think that I should give a serviceman my seat, and then I don't. But I think I'm a good person for having had that thought.
I thought of it.
He's hilarious. I didn't do the delivery any justice, but it's a very funny bit.
He has made a very good living being a bad boy.
Being kind of a schlub. And
But saying it like most other people are thinking that.
You do the same thing. I love the one where he's wants to kill the kid at his daughter's school.
That one I haven't heard.
Jansper, somebody in the chat room, get that name for me. He gives him a really funny, weird name because he doesn't want to out him on HBO. Anyway. Yeah. And he talks about how the mom is such a, the kid walks all over the mom. He's like 4 or 5, and he's like, oh, she's such a twit, not in a good twit. She just lets the kid do whatever
there are
he wants.
9 pages on this Apple thread.
Oh, man.
Of this thing happening.
Yes, Mr. Mike. Gisanthropus.
Wow.
Something like that. I'll find it.
Gisanthropus. Here's what the person's hearing. Wow. That is not good. That is really annoying. That's hysterical. Yeah. I'm going to play it on the air to annoy everybody. I'm just that kind of guy. That wasn't Val. Oh, it was Val in Valencia, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk computers and the internet and cell phones and home theater and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that, use Skype. Val in Valencia, our caller last hour, had a weird question, but it turns out it is not so weird, Val. I've done a little searching, and thanks to our chat room, we found a long 9-page thread in the Apple support communities about exactly this. In fact, somebody even uploaded the sound. So Val's wife on her Mac, when she launches Mail, all of a sudden hears a bunch of swooshes, the sound that Mail makes for outbound mail, but it doesn't seem to be attached to anything. Somebody recorded and has uploaded this. This is his Mac. Apparently, it goes on for some time. I probably shouldn't play it all. It's quite annoying, I know. Apparently, this is a snow leopard issue. You know, if this happened to me, I would be pretty irate. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes to this support community thread. There is no response from Apple, as often is the case. And there's quite a few people reporting this. So I'm guessing it's a bug. Now, it might be a snow leopard bug. Excuse me. It might be a snow leopard bug that could be fixed by upgrading. Maybe go to get the latest Mavericks, and that might make it go away. It does seem to be almost always 10.6. OS 10, 10.6. But boy, there's a lot of people with this problem. What a nasty bug. Tripod in our chat room says, actually, this is supposed to be happening. It's just not supposed to make any sounds. Apple automatically sends mails to itself about flaws and faults and bug reports. And when you've turned on the Mac or you've been running it for a while and you open Apple Mail, it actually is sending, invisibly sending emails back to the home office about problems that the Mac has seen. I think that's when you first set up the Mac, you see that checkbox that says, and it's unchecked by default, but I always check it, send reports back to Apple to help them improve services and so forth. So my suspicion is that might be true, that maybe it's doing that. Somebody in the chat room said Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan are doing a movie called You Got Mail, You Got So invisibly phoning home, perhaps, but maybe it's just not so invisible, and maybe that would explain why Apple hasn't responded. Try upgrading to a newer version of the operating system. Maybe that'll get rid of all of that. Wow, I know we will put a link to the thread in the show notes. TechGuyLabs.com. Every show's there. All the questions and answers. We actually break it down a page to each question and answer, including audio and video, so you can watch the episode or in its entirety, or watch that particular question and answer, see a transcription of the answer, or at least notes about the answer, and then add your 2 cents if it's happening to you and you found a fix and that kind of thing. Somebody said if you uncheck reporting back to Apple, it does not fix it. So that's not it. I don't know. Dan in Montclair, New Jersey. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dan.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome.
Great to see you. Here I am, another photographer. It's just an endless... And another hard drive issue. So it's really a fascinating program today. I have a 2009 MacBook Pro. It was running fine. I installed Maverick, and it took a terrible speed hit. I do use Aperture a lot, and that really took a speed hit.
Oh, dear.
And everything was kind of unusable almost. You know, I mean, I got a lot of the spinning beach ball no matter what. You know, I would go up to the Finder and the menu wouldn't drop, and then
All I could say is you might try a clean install.
I did it.
And it still didn't fix it.
No. So, and I had it backed up, both using Time Machine, and I had a bootable. I did another bootable backup using Super Duper. But what I noticed was just for fun, I booted from the Super Duper backup drive on an external hard drive, which was faster though, 7,200 RPM, and it runs extremely well.
Is it the upgraded operating system or the previous one?
It's the upgraded because I did a backup.
Oh,
the existing.
How odd!
So it's working well. Actually, I'm working on it today now off the external drive. I went to the Apple store. They did a diagnostic. They said that the computer was fine.
You know, the internal drive must be a little bit flaky.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So even though they did that hard drive, it didn't. However, I've had a similar slowdown also. I have an iMac, and I also upgraded to Mavericks, and it still had a bad slowdown. I realize it's an older computer.
Well, you know, our first call today was somebody with a 2007 MacBook Pro, and I said, don't upgrade. She wanted to know, and the Apple Store had given her kind of an equivocal answer. They weren't crazy about the idea. You know, and yet I hear from people with older computers who do upgrade and have no problems with Mavericks, so I don't know.
I know, and I've heard them on your show talk about that.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Using Aperture, which may need more processor power, or there's a conflict with Maverick.
The thing is, as far as I can tell, the only difference between the external hard drive and the internal hard drive is the drive itself. In every other way, because you use Super Duper, it's identical. So it tells me that what it is the drive.
So then that's what I'm thinking.
It's not unusual. In fact, it's probably the single most common source of problems on computers, of slowdowns on computers, because what a computer will do is it'll try to read that drive. Let's say the drive has a flaky sector on some operating software that the computer absolutely has to have to run. It will try several times to read it and may eventually read it. Then it'll go on to the next one. It takes a while to read that, takes a while to read that. It can, in effect, look like a slow computer, but all it is that the computer has to work lots harder to get the data. So what I would probably do is, there's a couple of things. One is, and I don't know if you did this, but wipe that internal drive and do a full, thorough erase.
That's what I did. I did that.
And it didn't fix it?
No, it didn't fix it.
So I think you need a new drive, is what I would do.
Right, that's what I think.
It's an inexpensive fix.
Go ahead.
It's an inexpensive fix.
I was looking at, SSD.
Well, that would make a huge difference.
And I think I can even do it myself. I mean, I got some directions on the.
iFixit has great instructions. You can find them on YouTube too. And any individual Mac, they're all a little weird. Did you say it was an iMac?
No, I have the iMac also had a slowdown, but not quite as bad as the MacBook Pro.
This is a MacBook. Yeah, and some of them it was very easy to replace the hard drive. Some not so much.
It seemed like it was doable. Okay. What was the name of that kit? Sometimes you've mentioned a kit that was fairly affordable.
Yeah, I got it from MacSales.com. It's Otherworld Computing.
Right.
You tell them exactly. They also have. They will when you get the hard drive. It includes the tools you need to open it, and they have videos on how to open it and replace it. And then I got with because I put an SSD in. I got with it an external container for the old SSD, so I was able to have 2 drives. Yeah, I really like them. I think they're very good. MacSales.com.
And
they call theirs the Mercuries. They're very good SSDs. You will see a huge improvement in speed. People, often talk about how much RAM you have or how fast your processor is. It may be the single most important determinant in the perceived speed of a computer is I/O, the reading and writing of the drive, and an SSD makes a great difference. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, the data drive I'm using on my Mac Pro is the SSD I got out of my old MacBook Air when I upgraded it with from Otherworld Computing.
And you need to do it, but most small businesses
don't
do it as often as they should. So you really ought to do it the way I do it. Make sure
You
your
can kind of
computer
tell I
files at
recorded
work
this in my
are
closet.
backed up to the cloud for you automatically by, say it with me, Carbonite. No matter how many computers, external drives,
a little,
servers you
it's not
have,
as good as this mic.
Carbonite has a plan that makes good financial sense for you. Don't let your business
Probably
slow
good
down
enough for
or
the-
shut down because you forgot to back up your files and you lost them. Trust the company that over 50,000
I can
small
tell.
businesses.
I can hear the difference. But it's not huge. It's nice to be able to record. So what happened is they send me the ads on Wednesday. I record on Wednesday for the following weekend, and they accidentally didn't send me an ad. So I got it later. I didn't want to come in. My days off are Thursday and Friday, so I recorded it in my closet. I sit on the floor. I have the MacBook there and a mic here, and it's
So do it right with Carbonite.
It's pretty much the same. And then after that, I came out of the closet. It was great. It was wonderful. It is a condenser mic, and that's the big difference. These are big coil dynamic mics, and I think they're richer and nicer. And the iMic is a condenser mic, but it's a good condenser mic. So sometimes I've done this in the past too, and I'm on the road. I'll record under the blankets in bed. You don't want to. You want to have a kind of a dead sound environment. Yeah, and that's where I was in the closet. And I found my Tech TV shirt. It's the iMic from Apogee. It's not as good as a PR40, and if I were smart, I'd bring home a PR40 and a USB interface, and then I could really sound the same. But it doesn't have that big bottom. This has, and actually, the big bottom is not a good thing. It's what's called the proximity effect. That the closer you are to the mic on a dynamic mic, the deeper the sound. But I like to be able to do that because then, yeah, in a world where a man can record a commercial in his closet. It's the big bottom. Do 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 do. Yeah, that's how Barry White does it. Oh baby, 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 you know, baby. Oh, I'm Batman.
Have you ever heard of text messages being resent from one phone to another when the phone was off? Can you believe that?
That happened to you?
I received a message from someone who was on an airplane, and the phone was off at the time I received it.
Well, it's obviously the cell phone company, right?
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
what I concluded.
Yeah. Had you received it already once before?
Yeah.
2 weeks prior. 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks prior.
Wow.
They resent me twice. I was gonna say
Yeah, that's a cell phone. I've seen stuff like that happen. I've seen text messages I sent 3 days ago all arriving. Like I'll say to Lisa, I texted you. Oh, I didn't see it. And then like later that day, 15 message, and the phone will go crazy because all these messages that I sent will come in. It's just the way. SMS is very old school, very antiquated system. It's amazing it works at all. We're moving now to internet, or LTE version. Yeah, that's weird. Now, it'd be really weird if the person were dead. Like, the person passes away, and then 3 weeks later you get messages from them. That would be freaky. Thank goodness she was alive. She was with us. So it wasn't as weird as it could have been.
I'll tell her that.
Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Was it Sprint? Verizon. Yeah, it was Verizon for me. We were talking about, has this ever happened to you? You get a text message like days later, or you get a repeat days later. I think these things happen. It's happened to me with Sprint a lot, where I'll send a message, I'll have a whole conversation. It's one-sided conversation, and then I'll ask the person, didn't you get any of those? And she'll say, no. And then a day later, her phone goes crazy. 15 messages come in. Verizon's done that to me as well. So, I think that the problem with text messaging, it uses a really pretty antiquated technology, SMS, which isn't data. It's actually riding on the voice portion of the network, and so it's very poorly implemented. It's pretty much old school. I think we're going to see a shift as all the cell phone companies shift to LTE. Everything, including your voice, will be data, and I think things will become much more reliable. I hope so. Anyway, yeah, WD Mark PC in our chat room says he has seen that on Verizon from time to time, where messages just get backed up. TikTok said, I got a message 2 weeks later from Sprint once. I think it's because these are CDMA networks, and I suspect that SMS is not as reliable on CDMA as it might be on GSM. Mark, Richland, Washington. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mark.
Well, how are you doing?
Well, I'm great. How are you?
You know, I'm great. You know, you're just hilarious. I've been listening to you forever.
Well, thank you. I'm not a comedian. I'm not a trained professional, you understand.
You know, I think others would argue that.
I'm funny looking. Maybe I'll give you that. What can I do for you?
I haven't seen your picture, but
oh, in that case, I'm tall, dark, and handsome.
Oh,
good looking, young fella, about 28. Svelte.
Well, I know that's not true, but you know, I have gray hair, and so I earned all of those.
Hey, if there's snow on the roof, there's smoke in the chimney, or there's fire. I don't know. There's a long. I can't remember that. Too old. Yeah.
Well, I just bought a Vizio smart TV.
Oh, good.
And I'm trying to buy a relatively inexpensive, I'm not saying cheap, inexpensive sound system.
Yeah.
To go with.
Yeah. Because the TVs have speakers, but they sound like this. They're not very good.
Yeah, it's just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a really good comparison.
Hello, Mr. and Miss America and all the ships at sea. Yeah, that's not what you want really on your high-def television.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is, and it's what I've done, is you buy it's complicated. You buy an AV receiver, and it can drive 5 speakers plus a subwoofer, or 7 speakers plus a subwoofer. Then you get a center channel, so you're going to have a center channel for the voice, left and right for the stereo sound. You're going to have surround sound speakers just to the left and right of your ears, and then you're going to have a subwoofer. That's 5 plus 1, or 5.1 sound, and it gives you surround. You're watching a ball game. You can hear the guy going, "Get your beers here," from right behind you. All of that stuff.
Right.
That's the best sound. But it's a lot of people, it not only is the cost, it's also having wires everywhere, and all of that can be a real pain.
Right.
So a lot of people choose instead a sound bar system.
Yeah, and that's what I've been hearing, and I'm wondering how that would even be. I don't know. It seems like that just wouldn't work.
Well, it uses, so the sound bars are thin bars. They're very convenient because they sit below the screen, and so they come from right where you want the sound to come from. They usually have 6 or more speakers in that. They're small, so I would always get a sound bar plus a subwoofer, because a small speaker can't reproduce the deep, rich bass sound, but it's good enough for everything else. And then they use computer imaging technology to shape the sound and create a sound stage that actually does sound like it's around you. It's not quite as good as a full surround system, but it's very good. And our friend Scott Wilkinson, who is our home theater expert, says there's a very good system that's $370. It's both the sound bar and a subwoofer. Comes from a company called Pioneer. You probably heard of them. They make great stereo equipment.
I thought they'd been out of business.
Yeah, I know. You don't hear about it much anymore. They make a sound bar that Scott, who is an audio guru, I mean, Scott's our home theater guy and particularly specializes in audio, says is excellent. It's you got a pencil because it's a long number. We'll also put a link in the show notes.
I am ready to write.
The SB Soundbar 23W.
23W.
Yeah. And CNET agrees it's the best affordable sound bar if you care about sound quality. But they also say it's not going to knock you out. You're not going to go, wow, I'm going to be blown away. I feel like I'm right in the middle of this helicopter. But it does get the job done. And it's certainly better than the built-in sound on the Vizio.
Now, I've been hearing a lot about on the bass speaker being wireless. Is that something?
This is wireless. This is wireless. Yep. So you don't have to. That's nice because a bass, the subwoofer, unlike the mid-range and the high-end, your ear's very good at detecting the sound location for the mid-range and the high-end. That's why, for instance, center channel, it's got to be right over that or under that screen so that it looks like it's coming out of Jimmy Stewart's mouth. But it doesn't matter where the bass comes from because the ear is not very good at distinguishing the locale of low-frequency notes. So that bass can be placed somewhere convenient. So the soundbar goes right under the TV or over the TV, but the bass, the subwoofer, can go anywhere in the room, and that's why wireless is very convenient.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can also position it to amplify the bass. A lot of people like to put it in a corner, for instance, for that reason.
Right, yeah.
So this is a great choice. It's not going to give you the, you're not going to feel like you're in the middle of the symphony, but it's very good sound and a lot better than speaker sound. And for $369, there's nothing you can get that's better than that.
And that's a price that could be even less than that, or
it could be discounted. It's pretty new. I would look. Let me just check on Amazon and see what they're charging. Consumer electronics are often discounted significantly, and this is so new that I don't see it. It's not particularly discounted. It's designed by an audio guru named Andrew Jones, which is why I think Scott likes it so much. Amazon has it for $396. Yeah, I wouldn't expect to get it less than that.
396.
Yep.
All right. Well, cool.
I'll put a link in the show notes just for you so you can find it. And, there are other choices. Somebody in the chat room said, consider a home theater in a box. That's a nice choice for a lot of people. Can be fairly affordable. That home theater in a box usually includes a Blu-ray player that has the AV receiver built into it. So you get Blu-ray discs, you get the receiver, and then it'll come with the 5.1 speakers, the 6 speakers. And those can range in price from $400 or $500 to much, much more. But those are pretty good. I think this is the best choice, though, the Andrew Jones Pioneer Soundbar. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Of course, what I have and use is a Onkyo or a Denon AV receiver and then a 5.1 system, speaker system. I use Emotivas in the living room, and in the den with the OLED, I have a Perion, A-P-E-R-I-O-N. They sound really wonderful. The 2011 Andrew Jones are still on sale. Thank you, David. Let's put a link in the show notes to that. These are on sale on Newegg. I don't see it. Let's see, maybe Pioneer Soundbar. That's the, no, this is that. $299. That's the SB23W. It's the same one, isn't it? It doesn't have a, oh no, it says it has a sub. Just doesn't show it, yeah. So this is this the previous year's? $299 is a very good price. So let's put a link in the show notes to that as well. Here, I'll give it to you. Oh, it's going to go on sale at 6 p.m. A shell shocker. I like it. Let's see the shell shocker. $149. Wow. Oh, that's Polk audio. I like Polk. Polk's quite good. That's a 5.1 system, but you don't have an AV receiver here. So $149 for a Polk 5.1 system is excellent. Actually, that's... but that doesn't include the AV receiver, so you're going to have to get your own AV receiver. You like Newegg? You think it's okay? I always buy stuff in Newegg. Yeah, I love them. And They stuck it to the patent trolls. That's right.
Did they?
Yes. Actually, they lost, but they fought them.
They tried.
They tried. Well, I think they're going on. I don't know if they appealed, but.
Is the system wireless?
No, the sub is. So, but that's okay if it's not wireless because it's next to your TV. So you use the optical cable coming out of the TV, you plug it into that, and then it's wireless, 2.4 gigahertz wireless to the sub. So it is in effect. I mean, it's all you really need. Yeah.
Don't you have a Sonos?
I have Sonos in every room of the house practically, but I don't use. We do have on one of the TVs. So we have 3 big TVs, one in the gym, and that one has the sound bar and the sub. Actually, and I also got the surrounds. So you can use Play Ones as a surrounds, but it's not. It's very expensive when you add all that up, and it's not as good as a comparably priced surround system, I think. But Sonos is great for the other reasons, the wireless internet. So we'll put on, if we want to listen to a show, a Twitch show, we can put it on our Sonos, and the whole house rings with Twit. Love the music on. I use it all the time. I'm a big Sonos fan. But yeah, it's definitely not a low cost solution. The soundbar alone is $700. So yeah. 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 I've accreted this Sonos system over many, many years. I buy like every once in a while I'll buy another set of speakers. Slowly build it up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And in Colorado, we got Jim on the line from Morrison. Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Welcome.
Yes, I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome. Good to have you.
Go back to the days of Patrick Norton and you guys.
On Tech TV on the screensavers.
Yeah. My wife always commented that you guys kind of had geeky shirts on.
Yeah. That's because we are geeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Your wife knew. She could sense a geek a mile away.
Yeah. By the way, I'm a graduate of CU, Colorado University, and my son is a graduate, too.
And that's where my son's going. Great school.
And in the last year of CU, my son told me about this semester at sea.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? Did he do it?
Yeah, he did it. And now he's living in Japan.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm not telling Henry about that then.
Yeah,
I don't want my son moving away. This is our big fear is he'd go to Colorado, love it so much we never see him again.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about Japan. Holy cow. That's great, though. I'm sure you're very proud. That's neat.
Yeah, his roommate was Japan, and he went back to visit, and he met a girl there. And
these things happen.
And,
those are the words you don't want to hear. Met a girl there.
Yeah.
Those are the words you don't want to hear. My son's roommate at Colorado is from London.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe he'll end up in England. I don't know.
Yeah. Every night, I'm an audio book fan, and I just got through reading Amanda Knox book.
Oh, yeah. Great.
And I read the Raphael book, and Amanda is just a tremendous reader.
She's an amazing... Oh, does she read it herself?
Yes. Yeah, I can't believe it.
She's an amazing story because, of course, Amanda Knox for years struggled because, actually, Amanda Knox was the one who... is that the one we're talking about? Not Amanda Knox.
Amanda Knox in Italy, the one that got...
I was thinking of another Amanda. I'm sorry. This is the woman who was convicted just recently of murder in Italy. She wrote a book and read it.
Yes.
Wow.
And after you read it, you'll think she's innocent.
Oh, I was thinking of a different Amanda. All right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, my question is, my photo stream on my iPhone just stopped working on my Windows 7 machines, both the one at work and the one at home. It's working good on my I/O, between my iPad and my iPhone and my other iPhone. But it just stopped working. The photo stream just stopped working.
Yeah. Huh. So it works with some devices, but not all of them.
Yeah, well, it consistently works between the iPhone and the iPad and the other iPhone.
PhotoStream is an Apple feature that allows you to automatically copy the photos you take with your iPhone to your other iOS devices. It's a little risky because photos are just copied willy-nilly, and you know, that could always be a cause for concern, privacy issues. But it is very convenient. I'm not sure. Now, you didn't turn it off on these other devices, did you?
No, it just stopped working. And
so the first thing to do, by the way, this is not an unusual problem. Apple has, for some reason, lots of issues with first Mobile Me and now iCloud. The first thing I do is go to your iCloud account in a web browser online and make sure photo sharing is turned on, PhotoStream is turned on. You might, Jeff in the chat room says, you might turn it off and on again in the web interface.
I've done that.
Yeah, and that didn't reinstate it.
No.
You know, normally when you turn it off on a device like your computer directly, like go into iPhoto and turn it off, it will delete all those photos and then turn it on again and restore them. I am not sure if you've tried that, why it's not doing it. I wonder, you know, it's always a great mystery, frankly, when Apple does cloud services. It sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't. I've had pretty good results with PhotoStream. Actually, 2 good results with PhotoStream. I'm getting my son's pictures off of his iPhone because he's signed into my account. I finally said, Henry, you might want to turn that off. I'm not sure Dad should really see everything you're doing in college. It's better to be in blissful ignorance. So you got to be careful. It will share with everybody else who's signed into that account. I'm not sure. I see people in the chat room say the same things happened. It seems like iCloud stuff can be pretty buggy. Another is saying try Dropbox instead, and that's true. Dropbox works quite nicely. There are a few things that iCloud can do that Dropbox can't do, things like having a screensaver on your Apple TV be your photo stream, things like that. I'm not sure. Best we can say is turn it off and on again on all the devices. Maybe turn it off everywhere, then turn it off on the web, and then turn it on one by one, see if that fixes it. Don't know of another fix. Maybe somebody in the chat room will suggest one. I'm sorry. Nice to talk to you, Jim, though. I appreciate it. Anthony in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. Hi, Anthony.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thanks. I have a question for you. It has to do with Carbonite and Time Machine.
Okay.
And it's pretty simple. My question is, I'd like to know, is it when I back up with Time Machine and Carbonite under my user as admin, does it back up all other users?
That's a good question.
I knew that was going to be a good one.
My guess would be no.
Oh.
Because you don't, in theory, you want each user has its own privacy. So my guess, although it's only a guess, would be that neither Time Machine nor Carbonite would back up anybody but you.
Okay, so my next question is, how would I enable Time Machine and or Carbonite to back up all users on my Mac?
So, and by the way, they're nicely complementary. Time Machine is local backup and Carbonite is off-site. And I think it's good to have both, for sure. Let me just see. First, Time Machine. Yeah, if you're logged in as an administrator, Time Machine will back up all users' data.
Okay.
So that means it backs up the entire hard drive. Obviously, you'd have to be logged in as that user to see the data if you restore. But it is, according to Apple, it is backing up all data.
Okay, so through Time Machine, it does back up all data.
And Carbonite, you can go into the Carbonite settings and manually tell it what to back up.
Okay, and is there a specific location of the?
It's in the Carbonite account settings.
Okay,
just tell it. It says which folders you're backing up. If you back up other people's folders, as long as you're an admin and can see them, it should back them up.
Okay, so because I'm new to a Mac, so
I'm told, and I did not know this. Time Machine by default will back up all users. Okay. Carbonite will not by default, but you can set it to do so.
Okay, but which folders do I select in the Mac? Where am I looking in the Mac hard drive?
Yeah. So the Macintosh, depending on which version of the OS you're using, if you go
the latest one, Mavericks.
You're in Mavericks. Okay. So
Yes.
if you go into your hard drive, you'll see a users folder.
Okay.
And in the subfolders of the users folder will be all the users.
Oh, perfect.
So you can specify exactly which ones you want to have backed up.
Well, thank you very much, Leo. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
You
for
have
the
a good
call.
day.
All right, you too. 8888 Ask Leo. You see, there's always something you can learn. You can always learn something new. We're going to take a break. We have one more segment before the end of the day. I'll take, if I can, I'll get as many calls as I can in the next few minutes. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You stay right here. So this is a Flappy Bird replacement. Let's just see how it works. It's called Iron Pants. Chat room was going crazy about this here. Let's see. Iron Pants. You have Flappy Birds? It's frustrating, isn't it? I hate that game. I'm going to hate this game too, I could tell. Oh. Retry. Well, that's hard. It's pretty much Flappy Bird. I have to... I don't understand it. Maybe this is intentionally hard to play. Game over, man. Game over. I don't want to... Press and hold? Oh, that was easy. All right. Press and sort of hold. I hate this game.
We're going to take it away in a day or two.
Whose idea was that?
I was listening to you.
Did you? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know.
Now, Quiz Up, however, we're having a lot of fun. Dr. Mom and I are playing these trivia quizzes. Dr. Mom keeps picking Broadway musicals. This is a very fun game. So now she wants to play Name That Dish. I think we have enough time to do a quick round of Name That Dish. Dr. Mom keeps trying to show me that she knows everything in every category. By the way, Dr. Mom, we both did terrible in the Bible. Just want to say. Okay. So that's me. Dr. Mom's already played this. It's called Quiz Up. It's really fun. If you're into trivia, it has every category possible. We're doing food. So name the dish. Round one. What the hell? Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi condiment. Oh, I know what that is. That's raita. All right. She knew it too, though. But I got it a little bit faster, so I get 1 extra point. All right. What is the name of the South African dish? Spiced ground meat with an egg topping. That looks delicious. She knows it. It's definitely... Mandazi. No, it's bobuti. How do you know that, Dr. Mom? What is the Indian dish of curried meat, typically lamb, and a rich tomato-based sauce? Oh, that's delicious. That would be garam masala. No, she said tandoori, but it's a Rogan Josh. Okay. What is this British dish? Oh, it's a pasty. Cornish pasty. She's beating me. 39-57. I got to come back here. Sweet bread loaf from Milan. Oh, that's a panettone. Panettone. See, she knows these things. She's too smart for me. All right, round 6. What is the name of this British dish? It's lamb mince pie with a... Oh, that's shepherd's pie. Aha! Gotcha, Dr. Mom. Gotcha! Ha-ha! Now, which pie is this? Is it a flapper pie, cherry pie, derby pie, or a Bakewell tart? Oh, I beat her by 2 points. That's how close that was. Isn't that fun? Isn't that great? And you could do dogs, you could do TV shows, general interest. Oh, see, here's Jeff Needles. He does this to me. Math hard. You guys should be good at this. Help me, okay? math hard. Okay, I'm going to run out of time. That's 190. That's easy. Yep. Okay. 20 points is the max you can get on any question. That's not hard. Oh, I'm running out of time. Which of these sets calculators arranged in order from greatest to least? 9, 8, 12. I can't. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 88 ask Leo. It's not my fault. That's all I could say. Let's move on to Dean in Silverthorne, Colorado. Hi, Dean. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How you doing, Leo? Love the show.
Oh, thank you, Dean.
Of my Sunday.
All right. Well, that's nice. Nice to meet you.
Yes, I have a question. My daughter is graduating from college this May, and she would like a DSLR with Wi-Fi. And I'm looking at bundled ones, and what I'm seeing for the best pricing so far is on Costco, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what's better, Nikon D3200 or a Nikon D5200.
Oh, they're both excellent. They're both excellent. And I'm not sure what the price is not the same, I would imagine.
No, one's $679 on sale and one's $999 on sale.
Yeah. Well, the 5200 is more expensive probably because it's 24 megapixels. Both the sensors, I think, are very similar in the 3200 and the 5200. But, the truth is, get whichever one you can afford, because what the big expense is the glass, is the lenses, as you've probably already noticed. Both of these come with kit lenses, but she's going to want to get more. That's why she's asked for a DSLR. She wants to have interchangeable lenses. I think the 5200 is now replaced with the 5300, which just came out, which is probably why it's the 5200 is a better deal right now. I would say, if you can afford the 5200, I would absolutely get that. That's a great camera.
Yeah, the big difference between the two on Costco's webpage is that the 5200 has a 300 millimeter zoom and the 5200 has a 200.
Yeah, and that's just the lens. That's what they call the kit lens, the lens that comes with it. I would say that also that's not much of a difference. As I said, she's going to end up getting other lenses. And in fact, one thing to look at is getting a body only and then getting a lens, a different lens with it. Those maximum zooms sometimes aren't super, super great quality. I'd get here's what I would get if it were me. It's a great graduation present, by the way. You're a great dad. Get her the 52. Get her the 5200.
Okay.
And it's basic. I don't think the lens itself is a great lens, so you might try getting the 5200 body and then getting a nice what they call a prime lens, not a zoom. It depends what her interests are. You might even say, "Here, I'm going to get you the body, and then give you a gift certificate so that you can get the lens of your choice." I'm not crazy about that 300 zoom.
Right. Okay.
But the body is great, and the body's really what you're giving her. She's going to end up adding lenses to it.
Right. Well, this will be her first SLR, so she's actually a very good photographer, and this will be the next step for her.
It's a great gift, I think. If somebody has an inclination toward photography, having a good camera just enables that, and I think the Nikon line is fantastic. These are excellent cameras. Did she propose these?
No, she just proposed a DSLR.
She didn't say any particular
Wi-Fi.
I get it. That was the critical thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does kind of limit it. There aren't a lot of these don't yet have Wi-Fi. That's a newer feature.
Yeah, she likes that feature.
I agree. Allows you to kind of control the camera remotely with an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device. You can also copy pictures off of it very easily. I think it is a nice feature. I think the 5200 of the 5300 is more expensive. It's brand new and it's not much better. And the what was the other one you were mentioning? The 3200.
The D3200. Yeah.
When that came out, boy, I was recommending that to everybody. And I think the 5200 is just a little bit better. Really good camera.
Now, when it comes to frames per second, what's the
Nikon's good. Nikon is the camera that people use who want to take a lot of pictures fast. It's the fastest focus capability, which is part of it. It's 5 frames per second, which is probably as fast as anybody needs. Is she a sports photographer? She like to shoot birds?
Not necessarily. No, she just likes to shoot all kinds of things. Everywhere we go, she loves to take pictures.
And you hear the motor wind every time, huh? G. Yeah,
Yep.
5 frames per second is pretty good. I can't imagine needing to be much better.
It has 4 per second, and the 5200 has 30 per second. According to Costco's website.
No, nothing has 30 per second.
That's what I was kind of going there. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, Nikon says it's 5 frames per second, which is about right. Part of the problem is what happens is you'll fill the buffer. They have a buffer, and then it slows down anyway as it starts to write out to the card. So it's only 5 frames per second for the first few seconds.
Yeah,
I think, you know what they're talking, you're reading the video spec.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, 30 frames per second for video. Yeah. This is great. And by the way, video is very good on these as well.
Okay, great.
I think you're a good dad. Where's she graduating from?
Andrews University in Berrien Springs, Michigan.
And what did she major in?
Speech pathology.
Awesome. Is she going to practice that?
Yes, she is. Yeah, she
smart.
She did 1 year in Spain to learn Spanish.
Oh,
so
that's
she
great.
Can be bilingual, and so she's going to be graduating and then taking her master's.
She'll get a job right away, of course. That's a great skill.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
I'm sure you're
thank you,
proud.
Leo. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Bob. Nice. You're a nice dad. That's a great thing to do. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a
Dean.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at Bob as the next one. As a dad myself with a couple of kids in college, I know how expensive that is, and to have a little left over for a graduation present means you did good. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Nathan, did you want me to do a Carbonite here or Squarespace? Okay. And then we will get to Bob. He's in Beaver Dam, Washington. What are all those ports in the back of my TV? He says. What are all those things for? Bob is on the line from Beaver Dam. Hello, Bob. How are you?
Hi, and it's Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, not Washington.
Wisconsin, of course.
I'm about 50 miles northeast of Madison.
All right. And you're probably buried under snow right now.
Yeah, not that much. Not as much as the East Coast has got.
A few feet here or there. What's the difference?
Yeah, well, that's about all. I just have to wade through it once in a while. I don't have to worry about shoveling it because I'm in an apartment. They take care of that.
That's nice.
Anyway,
nice.
The reason I call you is I'm retired. I'm 75 years old. I'm kind of computer illiterate. I got my computer mainly for playing games, surfing the net, and emails, things like that. But I bought one of these TVs, Vizio, with all these ports in the back that I don't understand. It says Internet apps. One says Wi-Fi. Another one.
So there's only a couple of ports that really matter. Do you have a cable box? How are you driving that TV?
I got a cable box.
Okay.
The Ethernet cable goes from the tower. I got a Windows 7. Goes from the tower to the cable box. To the modem.
The TV,
the modem. I don't have
that's your internet access. That's something else. But the TV's driven by the cable box using an HDMI cable.
Oh yes, I have that.
Yeah,
I have internet. Satellite dish.
Okay, satellite's fine. That's the highest quality. That's the one you want to use. The other ones are in case you don't have that. Then you also want to connect it to the internet. Now, I'm guessing you have Wi-Fi. If you don't, you can directly connect it via a wire, but Wi-Fi's easiest. And that'll do it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You don't need anything else. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.